Hey, it's another week, and y'all are continuing to rise with concrete with me. I appreciate it. Now, this week, we are going to focus on courage. This episode is probably going to make you a little uncomfortable. I'm a bit uncomfortable, but I mean, that's all right while we continue to do better. Today's question is, where in your life can courage create closure? Now, before we get there, I got a couple of highlights. I mean, that's all right, but it's okay. Again, we're going to focus on courage. But before we get to the question, I got a couple highlights for y'all. Now, there are updates. The Thrive Space is open. I'm super excited to share that. So in the coming days, look for that on the website. Yes, there are still updates. Y'all got to be patient with me. If you are a subscriber, look out for that email in your inbox for the discount code. You guys, just like we run out that house and we are grabbing the wallet, the phone, the keys, the mask, don't forget these keys. The first course is called Grabbing the Keys. Why? Because on the way to achieving greater things, we got to grab these keys. Now, there are 5 of them, but I promise you, it won't weigh your pocket down. Now, let's get started. Again, the question is, where in your life can courage create closure? Now, for this one, I really did have to take a pause and think on this one. And so I have 3 points I want to go through in responding to this question. And, I want to respond to these, and we talk about, how we're building on them, how we're rising with intention and thriving with courage and confidence. And I was just like, the more I think about it, the more I learn from you all, and I hear y'all. I got you. I promise I got you. Now, the responses to them keep coming up in a way where it's almost where you been, what you're doing, where you're going. So that's how we're going to address this, right? So it's possible. I mean, if you want to change it, let me know, and we'll try something else. But I mean, I'm also trying to get y'all on the podcast too, and I ain't been seeing y'all in the inbox for 2021. Everybody want to jump in for 2022. I'm trying to get y'all for 2021. I mean, I realize we in November, and there's like a whole November, December left, but I mean, y'all can slide through and we can have a whole conversation. I mean, we can do that. So let me know, and let's get this thing moving. So that's how we're going to tackle this one. Now, again, I'm going to go through mine and respond to it, and I want to hear from you all. I'm going to post it on Instagram. I'm going to post it on the social, have it in the description. Let me know what your responses are to today's question in the space of courage. Now, for me, creating courage and finding closure, all of those things are nice. They're just so mature. They're just so great, so fantastic. But we're not always there, and it takes time for us to get there. I mean, it don't happen overnight, and we all have to experience certain things for us to have it click, for us to like really get it. Which is why I was like, I have to respond in a way where it's, where have you been? What are you doing? And where are you going? It makes sense. It really does make sense. So I'm going to test that approach today in responding. I have 3 parts of, I think we all have a lot of experiences that we could like talk through and think through when trying to find closure. Or maybe you don't. I mean, I don't know. We all in different chapters. I respect you. No judgment. However, let's get through these. And of course, I want to know what yours are. So let me know. But I want to jump in this first one. So I shared a little bit, but I do have background in the theater arts. And for those of you who see me, I'm very shapely. Very shapely. I'm very fluffed. I didn't think about, how do we put this? There were times, yes, I wanted to put my foot down and be courageous and do the right thing all the time. But in the world of performing arts, dance, theater arts, all of those beautiful things that we enjoy and are in the area of entertainment, we don't oftentimes think about the back end. We don't think about the back end of it or the backside, the inside of it. And those are the parts that usually impact us the most, right? If you're in it, and share your story. Let me know, what your experiences were or currently are if you're still in the arts. It's more diverse now than it was. And for me, it was a bit of a mixed bag. Now, I was always in a space at that time where I felt like I had to take the opportunity right then and there, because if not, I would not ever get it again. Being on the larger side, and I don't mean, she wears a medium or she wears a large. It was like, hey, she has thighs, she's got hips. That was the depth of conversation I had to endure when going to auditions, or when being in class, or when performing. There were certain roles I could engage in, even when traveling. It was really difficult. I was oftentimes placed in the back. And yeah, I am tall. It's not one of those things I oftentimes enjoyed, and it was really frustrating. It was really, really frustrating, because what do I do? How do I put myself out there? No matter how much technique I had, no matter how great my form was, it was never good enough, because it didn't make me smaller. It didn't, I couldn't fit into a size 0 or 1. I just couldn't, no matter how much I lost, healthily, not or in a healthy way. I'm naturally just not that small, and that's not my natural makeup, and I'm not gonna force it, right? Very active, always. I've always played sports. I've always done all of those things, and none of those things have ever really stopped me. But I've always been treated in a way where she's the big one. She's the tall one. Aesthetically, she's not gonna fit. She doesn't fit in the box. Over time, it became, she can teach. She can most definitely teach. She has great technique. She can keep up. She knows the routines. She understands the breakdown. She gets the vision. She understands what I want to convey. But I want her in the back. I don't want her to be seen. What else can she do? When I had the opportunity to speak up, it was hard, because it was just like, all right, well, you're doing a lot of talking. How about we have you sit this one out? Maybe you just need to cool off. Or we don't have the costume in your size, or you know what, it's still at dry cleaning, or there's just been so many excuses doing external opportunities when I've tried, that it just became really discouraging. And so when there were wins, or when there were the positives, I wore those proudly, and I let those wins become my echo chamber, because I had to remember why I was doing it. And I think over time I lost the reason why, and I didn't have a way of recalling it. So it was really frustrating. The next one I wanted to share with you guys, when it comes to finding courage for closure, because I really just did not want to, and I didn't get it, was my family, right? I have, on my mom's side, I have a sister, and I never really got on well with my sister, because I didn't understand her. I didn't take time to understand her, and I had a chip on my shoulder about her because it was given to me. It was something almost like you inherited, right? Uh, there's parts of my family where I feel like, or we probably all do, right? People like to talk about one another or crack jokes about them. You do what you do. But at the end of the day, for me, it was, is this okay? Oh, all right, I'm in it. We're all doing it. It felt normal, but she felt isolated. And because I didn't know it, I didn't know any better. It was almost like I was playing both sides of the fence. I didn't have the courage to put my foot down. I was like, no, everybody is doing it. Why am I not doing it? And I felt like because I was trying to figure out how to be better than where she was, that I wasn't going to be there, right? I had no reason to ever be where she was. Because how could I? How could I do that? The family, certain members of the family, I won't group them together, but certain members of family, intermediate and extended, were negative toward her, including myself at that time, because I didn't understand it. And being young at the time, I just did not get it. It was just like, why does she not know what she want to do? Why can't she figure it out? It was just a lot to just counter out. And that doesn't remove or excuse her level of accountability and behavior and what she needs to do, because she's most definitely plays a role in it. But for me personally, I played a role in that as well, not understanding it. No, so I didn't have courage and I didn't want closure. I just cut it off. I was just like, yeah, I'm not dealing with that. I'm just not, because I can't. And I think in that space, I was then an opportunist, because I didn't need closure. I just wanted to go forward. But then I realized I was then walking around with all this hurt, and people saw that hurt and confusion and kind of left me alone. And it was interesting. It was really interesting. The last piece to that, and this is really relative, is my current career path. I love what I do. It's a passion of mine now, and I get it. And weirdly enough, I feel like it's all relative. However, I think I lost sight of what I was doing when I got pushed into a corner. And I didn't understand why I was being pushed in a corner. I came in and I felt like I was speaking for the people. Like I was just advocating, protesting, just talking all over the place. Nobody was hearing me. And it was the thing that I felt like I needed to do. And I felt like that was what courage was. I was sadly mistaken and very, very quickly made to be quiet. Not negatively, but I had to learn the other side of things. And you can both enjoy an experience and have poor moments of it. And it's really ultimately how you move forward that determines what you do with it, right? And so I've learned from those three over time. And so where I've been, really just to wrap that part up, is in theater and dance. It took people who saw something in me to say, you're better than this space. You're better than this opportunity. You're better than what's happening to you. And this is what I need from you. Now, what I will share with you is that in the theater arts and dance and performing arts and all of that, there are 4 choreographers that I've worked with and artists that I've worked with that have really seen potential in me, pushed my buttons personally and professionally. Love them, hate them, all of the in between, but I love them nonetheless, and I would go to the moon for them. because they made me a better person today from what they did for me then. And I keep up with all of them except for one, because she passed. And I owe them so much because I've grown so much. To Love Price, Aaron Watkins, Warren Lewis, and Tony Lombre. They have taught me so much about being true to myself, pushing my limits, and allowing self-discovery. And I don't think they knew that that's what that was at the time, but that self-discovery is really, for me, where courage started. And I started thinking about how to apply it. And I don't think I had it all right there, but I was able to apply what I had learned in theater and dance throughout my life in other places because it made sense. It made sense to me. I was able to translate. I got it, right? Those are transferable skills for me. So I was able to apply what I was learning in that space to my family years later because it needed to click. I had to have other life experiences to make that make sense. And the same thing, in my current line of work, there's so many people now that have really just touched me, and y'all are gonna hear that later anyway. I got their names too, but I want to be respectful of certain folk if they don't want me to share their name or information, so there's so much love there, but it takes somebody to take a chance on you. So that's where I've been in a space where it's okay for me at that time back then to have the echo chamber because hurt people, and I was okay with being in my own head because I didn't need you to tell me what I needed, because I was dealing with colorism. I was dealing with the size of my body and just my body, period. I was dealing with a culture of family who was okay with talking about people and behind their backs, and God forbid it be me, until I found out I was also in there too, and so it just was a vicious cycle that I didn't understand. And then in my current space of just self-discovery, improving oneself, being okay and courageous to dive into mental health and embracing change and like having the hard conversations, like, okay, let's do it. Who's going to do it and how? I'm all for it. And so years have passed, and I think that's where growth comes in. So that's where we talk about what you're doing. So what am I doing now? Well, in the space of theater and dance, while I no longer dance professionally, and I'm not in a theater space professionally, I would love to. And I do take time out when I do have colleagues or coworkers who have little ones who would love to connect to the performing arts or dance. I love to take the opportunity to share my experiences and insights with them. And if I can, I'll take time out to just sing with them and talk to them and just open their eyes to that space, because I think as someone who watches the arts, it is just phenomenal overall to see how it all comes together. And that's really where the passion came from, right? I wanted to be in the space of the performing arts because of those nuances, because of of having the ability of just being a blank canvas and having the opportunity to just interpret someone else's art or just your own, like just letting music fill you, letting the script or letting a character fill you, and it's absolutely amazing. And so not only do not only do I love the theater space, but also as a visual artist, I take time out and paint. I do art, a sketch. I'm sorry, art. I do art. I do draw. I do paint, and it's something for me that my mom did with me since I was young. So these are things that I just do naturally. My message overall is like, I encourage people to go into the theater art space now, being who they are and not changing. And I currently see that happening, and I love it. I love the way people are putting their foot down and they're asking for what they need, or they're establishing new areas where people are welcome and don't fit into a box. We're having those cultural conversations. When it comes to my family and it comes to my sister, currently, my sister and I have a great relationship. I can't speak for anybody else in my family. I can only speak for myself. I've taken time to take that chip off my shoulder, look at it, ask a bunch of questions, because that's what I do, and tossed it the hell off somewhere because I wanted to learn and hear her story. And being where I am now took and takes courage. It isn't something you gain overnight, but it's something I needed to do over time. And even now, I don't always feel heard, seen, or understood. However, I know she knows that I see her and I hear her and I understand her. And I try to make sure that when I spend time with my family, that they get that from me. I can't speak for anybody else because that's just not, I can't exactly, right? But I most definitely can be an example, and I want to be that. I want to be an example for my children, and my husband and I have been very clear about what that looks like. As far as my job goes, what am I doing? I shared with you guys that I had to be very swiftly humbled. I got to a part in my career in human services, and I love it. And there was an opportunity for upward mobility a few years ago. And again, I was in that space where I needed to make a decision, and I thought I was on uneasy ground. And I was afraid that if I didn't take that opportunity, it was all over, right? Oh yeah, just to let you guys know, I do live in a space where I'm near a military base. So that's what you guys hear. But I have courage that what's for me is for me, and I don't need to snatch it in that moment, because if it's truly for me, when I'm ready, it's there. And if I wasn't prepared to make a courageous move, I wouldn't have been able to walk out of an interview. I don't think I completely had control over my steps, but I know that whatever energy I put out into the world, there's purpose behind it. Because I've set my intentions, and I want to make sure that they're impactful. I recognize that not everything is for me. We might have the same overall goal, but my vision of success is not the same as yours. And I recognize that in taking what I thought would have been a great promotion, mid-interview, by the way, would have hampered me being here with you right now. You wouldn't be able to hear Rising Through Concrete because I would still be struggling to build it. And right now I'm rising. That opportunity was for someone else, and they love it. I see them. And they're great at what they do. And while I am where I am now, which was also a promotion, it came later. Which for me was on time. It was when it was when it needed to happen. Because there were a series of other things that took place that I couldn't control, and neither could a friend of mine. He was going through so much, and the last thing he needed was to step away and not have support in place behind him. So my rise came at the right time. And I'm continuing to learn from it. Again, I learned from everything. And it's a phenomenal conversation. I don't think this is the last time we're going to have this conversation, especially when this episode is called Creating Closure. There is no closure. When you learn how to create breakfast, after you learn how to scramble an egg, you don't just close the book and walk away and never make an egg again. Not if you like it. You add it to your routine. You learn from it. You build on it. You improve it. So I don't create closure. I'm building lessons. That's for me. I mean, heck, maybe you are creating closure and you're just like, I just want to close the darn book. I'm sick of it. And that's absolutely okay too. I mean, it's you. I'm no judgment. Y'all tell me what y'all doing. But for me, that's what I'm doing. I want to mentor and change the space of the theater arts if I can with other people. I want to have a culture of family where they're not talking about people behind their backs, but tell them how they can improve and suggest positively without being rude. Because you will get called out. And I want to move forward in a way that aligns with my purpose at my time. So that's what I'm doing. Now, where am I going? Now, of course, we're in the last segment of the show, but let's wrap this up. I know this was a bit of a long episode. If you want them this long and you like them, tell me that. If you want them shorter, tell me that. I'm all for the feedback and suggestions. We're just trying to find the right vibe for this tribe. Now, where are we going? Where are we going when it comes to, creating closure and having that courage? It didn't sound like we were really talking about, having courage and creating closure, but what is closure? It's really being comfortable with being able to recall and move through a space with others, move through a space with loss. It could be a number of things. I will forever love theater and the arts. That never goes away. With my family, they're family. You can't change them. But what I've learned is I can most definitely teach them how to treat me. And I can most definitely continue to set positive boundaries for myself and teach my children how to arm themselves in difficult spaces. And they're doing an awesome job at that. As far as my career goes, I'm continuing to learn. And I'm learning how to pull myself out of these corners. I think like everybody else, you guys are done with hearing about 2020 and 2021. I'm with you. However, let's be real. We spent all of 2020 realizing that there is a world out there, because everybody before then had their head down running in a hamster wheel. And now that we're no longer in that hamster wheel, we're trying to do the things that we said we were going to do. Everybody's on a journey of rediscovery, and that's cool. I don't think you ever lost it. You just had it in your back pocket. Where am I going? I want to blow the conversation up when it comes to talking about health and human services, when it comes to how we implement new models into our cities and jurisdictions and states. I think there are larger conversations to be had, and sometimes they can be oversaturated with things that just are unnecessary. I've been doing this work for quite some time, and I shared some things with you guys about my sister that, I ended up having to go through myself, right? When I talked about, wearing that hurt, having a chip on my shoulder, never wanting to be her, I actually had to be in the same boat as her for a while. I was very quickly humbled. Which is why things had to turn around. Where am I going? I'm going forward. And I want to bring you guys with me. I want to create change. I'm a future-focused thinker. I like to solve problems. I want to answer the hard questions. But I want to know what the questions are. Plain language matters. It does. It's not a slogan, it's just true. We know what the needs are. Let's meet the need. Let's not make it complicated. There was a reason the podcast is called Rising Through Concrete, and y'all are going to recognize that real quick, which is why I want y'all on here, right? I can tell y'all my side, but I really want to hear yours. Let me know. I'm going to wrap this up. Next episode, we're going to be jumping into beliefs. Whew. Can't wait for that one, can y'all? Talk to y'all next week.